Today we're talking about how to manage tantrums in public when your autistic child wants a toy or treat so badly and they won't leave the store without it. You're walking on eggshells during today's Target trip. The trip is going okay until it's not. You say no to a toy and that's all it takes. Suddenly the tantrum is full-blown intense. Screaming, dropping to the floor, maybe they're clutching onto that toy or candy, refusing to let it go. The worst part, people are watching. Today we're going to talk about how to go from panic, reactive to planning and preparation. Because if you have a game plan and follow through with consistency, there's no way you can lose. Remember, preparation beats panic every time. My name is Celeste. I've been in the fields of ABA for over 12 years. I educate and empower parents on how to better connect with their autistic child, how to really get in their world and teach meaningful everyday skills. First of all, I just want to acknowledge that tantrums are intense. They're emotionally exhausting, draining for your child and for you as a parent. It's never fun to see that. And it's very likely, as a parent that you're emotionally drained by the end of it. All this is going on, and then add an audience, okay? Add the judgment, and now you're performing. Now you're on stage and having to navigate this tantrum. That is so intense. And I'm just going to add my personal opinion on there. Other parents or adults around you when this is happening should mind their own business. I said it, and I wholeheartedly believe that. If you're an adult watching this super extreme, severe tantrum happening and the parent is trying to navigate it, you have no right to judge that parent in that moment. You don't know their story. You don't know their struggles. You don't know what that parent's going through. So continue with your shopping list and just keep going. And for you parents of autistic children just living your life in the grocery store, I apologize on behalf of everyone else who's staring and who's being judgmental, because that's not right. Okay. Now that that's out of the way. And then secondly, I wanted you to keep in mind that this video is aimed around kids who want access to an item, and that's what's causing the tantrum, okay? They want access to a toy or a candy, and you said no, and that's what's triggering the tantrum, okay? So I'm not talking about a kid who is being overstimulated by the sounds or the light, because that would be different strategies. I'm talking about the kid who can't leave the grocery store without buying something, without buying an expensive toy, or demands an ice cream or demands candy, and you say no, and that triggers a tantrum, okay? That's what I'm talking about. Access to an item. Number one, make shopping trips regular. Keep it short, keep it consistent, and keep it predictable. What does that mean? So something I hear from parents of autistic kids is going to the grocery store is so overwhelming, so I avoid it altogether. I avoid it until I absolutely have to go, and then I'll go, okay? And if that works for you, that works for you. But on the other hand, if you're a parent and you're no, I don't want it to be that way. I'm ready to learn. I want to challenge myself and go head first into the problem and navigate how to solve it and make shopping trips easier in the long term and push through this uncomfortable intensity in the short term for a long-term result, then this video is for you. Trips to the grocery store may be overwhelming and intense for you and your child because they happen so infrequently. As humans, we like routine. We like predictability, okay? And so when you go once a month to the grocery store, yes, it's going to be intense because your child hasn't had sufficient practice, hasn't gotten used to the grocery store, hasn't had those ample practice opportunities in order to feel comfortable yet. Think of it like a trip to the doctors or the dentist. We go every few months, and that's why they're so scary. If we were to go more regularly, in theory, for like once a week, I think those trips to the doctor and the dentist would be a lot less scary. Essentially, we would be desensitized. All that stimuli like the light and the sound and what they're doing in our mouth, the procedure, is not going to be that scary because we're going to be used to it. Okay? So it's the same thing for shopping trips. What I'm saying is keep it short, keep the shopping trip short, and go more consistently throughout the week. For example, let's say you make Tuesdays and Thursdays your shopping trip days, and you maybe only get like 5 items or something. By keeping the shopping trip consistent, keeping it predictable for the child, there's really no surprises. The first few shopping trips are going to be hard, and then once the child and you get into a routine, get used to it, it's going to be a lot easier. But you can't get practice if we don't get practice. Number two is priming and a checklist. In ABA jargon, it just means you're front loading the child on what's going to happen. So you might say, okay, bud, we're going to the grocery store. I'm gonna buy chips, soap, and toothpaste, okay? Chips, soap, and toothpaste. And then you guys get in the car, you're driving, and you front load him again, and you say, hey, bud, remember, we're going to the grocery store. What are we getting? Oh yeah, chips, soap, and toothpaste. And then you're unbuckling him from the car seat, or you're walking to the front of the grocery store. Again, front load him again. Chips, soap, and toothpaste. Remember? Okay, that's what we're getting. There's no such thing as front loading too much. It goes back to the first point where I said humans like predictability. We like to know what's going to happen. We don't like surprises. And this especially is true for the autistic population. Autistic learners can sometimes be rigid in their routines. And in order to promote flexibility, we need to let them know what's going to happen, so it's not so scary when it does. Parents might say, oh, my child doesn't understand. My child might not understand that language. That's okay. I would still provide that vocal warning all the way up until you get to the grocery store. And eventually he's going to learn, and eventually with ample shopping trips, he's going to learn to pair that tone of voice and what you're saying with, oh, okay, we're going to get a few things at the grocery store. Even if he doesn't know exactly what toothpaste, soap, and the other thing I said was, still practice that priming. In this same step, practice a visual checklist. Draw a visual, it doesn't have to be perfect, of the 3 items you plan to buy at the grocery store, so your child can check them off as you go on the shopping trip. Again, it's letting them know what to expect on the shopping trip. We're not getting candy, we're not getting toys. These are the 3 things we're going to buy, okay? Bread, toothpaste, and lettuce. Bread, toothpaste, and lettuce. And you use that visual, you take it with you into the grocery store. On this step, I really want you to think about the timing of the priming, the timing of your vocal front load, like when you're telling him. I would tell him when you guys are at home, before you even get in the car, during the drive, like you're vocally reminding him, unbuckling from the car seat. And it's really to shower him with that, it's almost like you're studying, right? Like when you're studying for something, you want to memorize something and you want something to get into your brain, you're not just going to do it 1 time. You're going to do it 2 times, 3 times, 4 times. So that's what you're doing. You're studying your list with your child and really preparing them at the onset before you get there. So when you get there, he's not like, whoa, free for all. What are we doing? This is all free game. I can grab my chips. I can grab the toys. No, we have a plan. Here's the list. Let's go down the list. Number 3, keep the child involved and busy. So if your child is older, that might mean having them push the shopping cart for you. If your child is little and they're sitting in the shopping cart, that might mean like having them reach over in the aisle and grab what you need and put it in the shopping cart. That might mean them holding the checklist and getting the pen and you helping them check each item off. You're keeping them involved and busy because you don't want them to be focused on grabbing the toy or grabbing the candy, because that's not available on today's shopping trip. That's not available anymore. And it all ties together, because in order to make the shopping trip successful, at least for these few shopping trips where it's new, you want the shopping trips to be short. Ideally, you don't want a list of like 100 things and then the shopping trip becomes overwhelming. And then you risk like seeing the tantrum. I'm not saying never like go full on shopping trip mode with your child, but for these first few shopping trips, you need to make it into bite-sized pieces. So you survive the car trip, you survive the shopping list, you got your 3 or 4 items, and now it's time for checkout. Here's a pro tip that I would suggest: save your phone, save the videos for checkout, because no one likes waiting. Even us as adults, we hate waiting. Why would we expect our kids to have to wait in a line with nothing to do and expect them not to reach over at like all this really enticing, colorful, packaged candy? The grocery store does that on purpose. They put that there because they know that when you're waiting, they want your child to like gravitate toward the candy, toward the chips at the end. And you don't want that. So if you save your phone, don't give your phone to your child up until this point, up until you approach the line, then give it to your child so you can keep them busy while you do the checkout situation. If you give your child your phone before the checkout, you risk motivation for the phone being diluted by the time you reach checkout. Number 5 is follow through. This is easier said than done, but at its core, it means this: you said no, keep your word. Be direct. So you did all the things, right? You did all the preparation, but your child still reaches for the toy or asks for the toy or asks for the candy. Be direct. Sorry, toys are not on the list, not available. And then redirect to the next thing on the list. Move on. Try to avoid, I know it's hard, but try to avoid like simmering in the whining. Like, no, it's okay, buddy. I know you don't want it, but come on, we're gonna get something else and let's go over here. And just be direct. Because then if you try to reason with him in that moment, he's already annoyed that you said no, when in the past you've said yes, or even worse, you've said no in the past and then you changed your mind and said yes. So by trying to reason with him, it's really like, it may escalate the tantrum, and you don't want that. You don't want like this push and pull, like this metaphoric tug of war. Sorry, toys are not on the list, not available. What's next on the list? Oh, okay, bananas, let's go. And you move on to the next thing. Number 6 is have an escape plan. So again, this goes back to the preparation. You would have already prepared this before the shopping trip. An example of escape plan is like, let's say you have the luxury of having a second person on the shopping trip with you. Let's say you have dad with you. So it's you and dad. And let's say you plan that when the tantrum happens and when it gets to a certain point, dad is going to scoop up your child and head to the car early so you can finish checking out. Again, keep it short. So with all this planning and preparation, you have a game plan. You know exactly, like step for step, what's going to happen. It really takes the guesswork out of the shopping trip, because when you're on level 10 and your child is on level 10, there's no way you can like navigate and think, okay, what do I do? Oh yeah, my list, follow through. Like, it's too much. And then people are watching you, which they should mind their own business. But that's why I'm a big advocate for planning ahead, making your game plan. Before the shopping trip starts, prepare your checklist, write it out, draw it out, have it ready to go. Last, I really like to promote parents to like create a cheat sheet for yourself. Create a cheat sheet for your brain when things get intense. So when things are happening, the escalation starts, Let's say the cheat sheet is in the back of your phone. You can just flip over your phone and look at what you need to do. Number 1, review my checklist at home. Perfect. Number 2, review checklist in the parking lot. Did that. Number 3, involve him in the shopping list. Keep him busy. Did that. And then number 4, escape plan. Dad takes him to the car. Check. Or you can say, give him the phone at checkout. But I'm pretty sure you won't forget that one if the shopping trip went smooth. But put it in your plan. To reiterate, regular shopping trips promote consistency, practice that skill of making something new and scary, not so new and scary, making it predictable. The first 1-2 shopping trips are going to be intense, but the more consistent you practice, the more it's going to be part of his routine. Remember, the brain craves predictability, so the more you can make the shopping trip predictable, the more consistent you're doing it throughout the week, you're really setting your child up for success. In conclusion, public tantrums are no joke, but with the right strategies and a solid plan, you can have a huge level up. You can go from reacting out of fear and desperation to responding with confidence because you have a plan, you've prepared. From your favorite BCBA, keep showing up, keep doing the work, you got this.